ever since the issue started from the time when the former president and the current president had that impasse, which you're aware of, it's always been a bit of a challenge to be in, whether it was in cabinet or whether it was in central committee. But you know, we all take commitments to serve the president, and he invited me into his cabinet, and when he did that, he invited me into his cabinet as a new president. Okay, so it was a new mandate, and the same with central committee. And you know, I want to be very honest at this junction and say I never ever thought I would ever leave the politics and leave BDP. Okay, but it became quite a challenge at some stage, because some of the things that had been said before, such as, for example, the one that really I was having a big issue with, and the one that I was unable to explain in Soroe, was the one near Dorcas Makhat. That was my biggest challenge. After she said that, with the Secretary General sitting next to her and the Executive Secretary as well, it just was accepted as that explanation was good enough for them. I then really felt let down. I had protested to HE on it, and he had put forward a couple of suggestions. And I just decided I was going to leave it. And I thought, I am not going to, one, run after her. Two, I will never, ever in my life, ever beg her or ask her. Never. Okay? And I was clear on that. And I said to myself, what you have done, what comes from this, you deserve. Okay? And let's see where we go from here. Dorcas wasn't, I don't know if she was even born when the party was formed by my father and those that formed it. And for her to feel that she has a right in whatever state she was in, okay, is unacceptable, because she's the leader of the Women's Wing, she's a minister, and she needs to lead, to be an example. Yeah, we can't ask people to set examples and we don't. That is where, for me, the pressure really started from Bamato. You know, she came to me once and she said to me, HE says we should meet. Why don't you call me, because you're the complainant? I said, I've got nothing to say to you. She said, okay, that's fine. That's what she said. Why don't you call me, because you're the complainant? And I said, I'll never talk to you. You've insulted my father, let alone my brother. I have nothing to say to you. That's it. First of all, I didn't be one thing that I would say to Dorcas. I would say to Dorcas that she needs to understand that as a political leader, it's not about tarnishing people's images, because she wouldn't want that on her own family, or would she? Okay, and I would assume she wouldn't. So in her endeavor to try and be popular or to be relevant, don't do it at the risk or at the expense of others. That's the one thing I would say to her. Secondly, I would say to her, Dorcas, remain in integrity. Remain in integrity. Do not involve people's parents. Don't talk about the people who have departed. You don't need to go there. You really don't need to go there. Your battle is your battle. Make it relevant to that time. And that's what we think. I think that's what we should be doing. Because if we're going to start mudslinging around, we can go into Dorcas's lifestyle if we want to. I know what she does. I know where some of her weak points. But I never brought them up, because I wasn't brought up that way. So I have to question her upbringing. But if I get into that, then you're saying now, am I not questioning her parents? I don't have an issue with her parents. So I don't work out you wear like a Dorcas. Holy Dorcas must think before she talks. So, you know, I in the last couple of weeks, I thought this was fairly being managed somewhat. You know, it wasn't too intense, and but then it started to intensify last week at some stage, and I thought I had something managed there, in the sense that a compromise, you know, was on the table. And when I mean a compromise, it was something that either I would do that would then be acceptable to the tribe, the Democrats, or the Democrats. You see where my mind is, okay? The voters, okay, yeah. You'll remember that at Bulela Ditwe, I stood against Dijeng, and I beat Dijeng, and Rakudu, and I beat Rakudu as well, okay? So it means then that the electorate were supporting me as a candidate. You know, I didn't want to stand for Bulela Ditwe, okay? I was going to walk, because when I campaigned for Bulela Ditwe, it was an 11-day campaign. Dijeng had been campaigning for a year and put in money in hotspots, okay? I only went in 11 days and we beat them. Now, the issue with losing, I don't know, I don't anticipate a loss, okay? It's going to be work, and you know, Khosi Kholo is on the ground, and certainly the signs are indicating what you know, not only that constituency but one or two others in that area are going to go to other parties. So I don't anticipate a loss, and I don't go into a constituency challenge like that having won all the time. I think it's also the person. So remember when in 2014 there was a gentleman called Alex, and I mention the name because it upset me so much what I experienced. Went to Maun, political campaign, to go in de-campaign Nkosi Tawana. Spoke about his personal life. Alex was from BDP. Spoke about his personal life. Spoke about his wife and his children. Spoke about his habits. All sorts of things. I mean, if there wasn't a character assassination of note, there wasn't ever going to be one. Tawana voted for their chief. And the chief was not a BDP at that time, but he had been a BDP previously. But Tawana voted for his chief. Khosi Tamoring in Koborolo, okay. He has endorsed UDC. When he stood, it doesn't matter how much of a seasoned politician you are, the whole time Khosi Batwen Hasitiwe stood in Kanye, and Masile stood against him. Masile could never win against Khosi Wabangwakets. Never, okay? We've seen the same thing in Mushudi. So there's something to be said for the Hadu Khosi Kovalente. Usually, Haba and top, they win. That's what I've seen. That's what I've seen. Once the chiefs have a political interest in that area, they win. Okay. So for me, it's an interesting thing, because I think it's nice that people show the respect for chieftainship, because that's where we come from. The parliamentary system came after that, you know. And I think we shouldn't lose sight of the value of chieftainship and chiefs and things like that. Yeah. Things are going to happen at that next election. The lay of the land is changing. We know it's changing, okay? And, you know, really to say today who's certain to come back, Hariti, not like in the past, you know. The dynamic is so different that to actually prophesize or to anticipate a win for an outright party, I don't know if I know that. I don't know if I know that answer. You know, it's so fluid at the moment, and of course, you know, we've been so used to the BDP winning, and we've always had comfort and what have you in the governance of BDP, and I've also been part of it, you know. Yeah, but you know, I think when we look at what's happening around the world today, we need to reinvent ourselves as well, and to become relevant. And I think that is, at the end of the day, is the people who will eventually take over. When I spoke to the president, he said to me, "Thank you for not doing it tomorrow." And I said to him, "H.E., I waited till 3 o'clock today was my cut-off time. If I couldn't find a resolve, 3 o'clock today was my cut-off time, so that BDP had an opportunity to put somebody up." And you know, I don't want to be for me to have done that last opportunity would have been tomorrow at 4 o'clock, because it closes at 4:30. Okay. So what am I doing if I did that? I'm denying people who want to follow BDP the opportunity to do so. Why would I do that? That's the sort of politics that I don't subscribe to. I don't.